This is why I love cold therapy. It saved my life. Everything changes when we step into the cold.
Neil, welcome to the Stepping Into the Cold podcast. It's great to have you here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. So I'm Neil. I'm from Rotherham. I'm currently a firefighter. Just started that new job. So I've been doing cold water exposure now for about 2 years, coming up to 3 years. And I guess that's why I'm here today.
Yeah. And so what was it that got you into cold therapy and how long you've been doing it for?
So a few lads back in, I think it was about January, February 2020, they were just telling me, about the benefits of it, and they've heard about a few things like the Wim Hof method, stuff like that. And so saying, give it a try. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. And at the time, I was like quite unhealthy, quite unfit, and I just thought it was a good, positive step forward to try and get myself, going in a positive direction. I thought it was a good challenge. So yeah, it was Sean and Itty. I went with them to Scammerton Reservoir.
Yeah.
Jumped in the water there, and I don't know, from that day on, I just fell in love with it.
All right. So obviously we'll dig around a little bit more of really where you was a place before you sort of started and sort of that transformation. But tell us about that first experience, how cold it was, what happened sort of mentally, physically.
Yeah. So I was with obviously I was with a group of guys, and they're all really shredded. They're into the calisthenics training and stuff. And as I said, I was a bit obese at the time. So I thought, right, I've just got to stay in there longer than them, because I thought I've got to have one over them, because they're winning. They take their shirts off, at the side of me. I thought I've just got to beat them at something. So we got in there, and it was so cold, it was freezing. But I jumped straight in, whereas the other people were tiptoeing in. Yeah. And seen that, and I thought, right, I've got them here. And I just kept looking at them, a bit like David Goggins sort of thing now. And I was just thinking, I've got to stay in 1 second longer than they do. And it was just awesome. We got in there. It was playing rock, paper, scissors to take his mind off it. And then I think stayed in about just short of 10 minutes. I think on his first time.
Wow.
So it was getting out there. It was just incredible.
So sort of that will mindset of that determination of, right, this is what I'm going to do. You might know now that obviously your determination was one thing that got over it, but we wouldn't recommend to anybody to go in there and sort of have that warrior mindset, because that can cause hypothermia or something like that. So we just want anyone's watching this just to sort of make sure. But for yourself, what was the process? Did you get that sort of fight and flight response? You talked about playing paper, scissors, rock to take your mind off it. What happened? The breathing, what did the guys do for you, and sort of what was that experience? Sort of what was the internal dialogue that was going on?
So I mean, for me, it was sort of, I was blocking the feelings I was feeling, because I was freezing, I was shivering. My mind was saying, "Get out now," and it was just a battle to stay in. And it's one thing I always say to people: it's like a self-inflicted battle. And I think once you overcome that battle and stay in, then any other battles you have in the day, you can brush them off like they're nothing.
Yeah.
Because going in that water, it's a big battle. And I think that when I was in there, I did want to get out, but I just, in terms of breathing as well, you mentioned there. At first, my heart was going, and I think that when we played rock, paper, scissors, that sort of helped to regulate my heartbeat and, just calm us down and take our minds off it. Yeah.
So what is it?
Some fight and flight in there, adrenaline rush and stuff, when I'm in there, definitely.
Nice. So you talked about putting yourself into that uncomfortable zone. How long did that last for you? And what was the shift going from, how long did that last for? And what was the process of the second time you went in, the third time, and how did it get easier? And then when was that point where you broke through to the excitement and the sort of the buzz, the rush of looking forward to getting in, because what's going to come?
Question. Yeah, I like that question. Where do I start? So I think that when you get in, the first minute or so, it's a real shock to the system. And I think the quicker you sort of get used to that and get over that bit, you start, like, your mind plays tricks. You start to think, hold on a minute, this water's actually quite warm. Even though it's freezing, the water might be like, you know, about 4 degrees, but in your head, it starts to feel warm. Yeah. And then I think that you get to a point where you need to get out before you start freezing again. And that's different for everyone. And obviously that gets to a longer point, the more you expose yourself to it. But yeah, like I was always trying to get around 10 minutes in there. And then when you get out, getting out is even more of a challenge than getting in, especially on a cold day, because you get out and you think, what am I doing? You know, all your extremities, you know, your hands, your feet, they're freezing, you can't feel them, and just getting that blood back in your body and getting your temperature regulated.
Yeah. So what is, on those real cold days, what is it that you do when you get out? How do you get that blood moving? How do you get your body warm?
Well, for me, because I like running, so I do a bit of barefoot running and stuff. So like on the snowy days, you'll just see me fly straight off, just keep doing laps up and down until I get warm again. I've always found that. I've always just found myself generally exercising quite soon after the cold as well. Maybe like going to the gym. Like anyone who takes pre-workout, I think cold water is the best pre-workout you can give to your body prior to a workout.
So there is some science that says, like, if you do your exercise first thing in the morning, for your pre-warm up, just jump in the into a cold shower just for a couple of minutes, because that activates everything inside your body, and it's a better warm up than stretching or anything. Not saying that stretching's bad, but if you're looking at warming your body up, especially if you're going outside, cycling, doing some running, you know, getting that full total body warm up, you know, cold therapy is a good way to start that off. Yeah,
definitely. I agree from my own experience, definitely. And doing it post-workout as well for recovery and stuff. As I used to run like half marathons, I used to do 2 or 3 of them a week. And literally straight after I'd jump in the sea. And it was literally like my recovery was just like that. I'd be ready to go again the next day.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about your typical week. What is it that you sort of do for cold therapy? Because, you know, you're talking about pre-workouts, post-workouts.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to tell me in a bit like nighttime is a cold shower or whatever. It's all about the cold.
Yeah. So for me at the minute, I mean, things have like plateaued a bit just because I started in the fire service. And one thing I've got to say is that I've got to be responsible in where I'm doing this cold water, because before I was jumping in reservoirs, lakes, wherever. Now I'm supposed to, you know, be doing it responsibly. But I'll talk about my utopia, like my favourite sort of week, what I was doing previously, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So basically, I was running about 30 miles a week. So like I do, like, let's say a half marathon on Monday, like have a rest Tuesday, do like a 5K Wednesday, and then later in the week get out, do another half marathon, and obviously go gym around that. But in terms of the cold, I'd be looking to get in the cold every day. So I used to be working away like all over. I was doing a lot of work in Edinburgh, and also one of my favourite places is the Wirral, Liverpool way.
Yeah.
And they're awesome seas all year round. Like the tide's perfect, the beach is perfect. I'll be there at 6 in the morning before I start work. I'll be in that water. And then sometimes on my lunch break, if I was working on the seafront, I'd go in on my lunch break, jump in the water again. And then on the evening when I finish work, I'd get in the water again. And I just couldn't get enough of it. It was just I think that every time you feel yourself fatigued or you move sort of drop a little bit, whether that be something that's happened in your day or just, you know, being in a negative environment, you jump in that water, and once you get out, you feel on top of the world. And literally, like, people say it's nature's cocaine, and it really is. Like, I'd go out, and people would be like, "Are you on drugs?" And I'd be like, "No," you know. But it felt like I was, because it's so invigorating, just amazing, you know. Every time the feeling, and it never goes away. It does, like, you know, it doesn't stop. Every time you get in the water, the feeling comes back.
Do you find, like this conversation here, you know, you had your reasons of why you stepped in, like I had mine, and that sort of transformation that happens in our life, that comes from it. But just when you're around somebody else and you're talking about the cold therapy experience, the journey, you get that rush, or I get that rush, but I see you get that rush.
Yeah. The truth is, this podcast right now, we should be sat in the water right now together, just chatting and recording it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I'm ready to go now.
Just thinking about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You know the score.
So what is it? Obviously, you've spoke about that you couldn't get enough of it. That sort of the cold is like the natural cocaine. But
yeah.
Is there anything else that you can describe, whether it's personally, whether it's mentally, whether it's just that the way that you were feeling? What was it that really kept you going back, like day after day, that got you so hooked? Or if it was a combination of things, of just sort of so that people can understand the things that they can look forward to and expect, so that when the times are tough, when they're in the water for the first time, it's just keep focusing on what's going to come.
Yeah, definitely. I think that for me, it's the life-changing benefits that you receive. I think that, I like, for example, now, I know I haven't been in the cold water for about 2 weeks, and I know I can already feel myself sort of dipping, my mood, the way I'm feeling, the way like my outlook on things, my perspective, like it drops into a negative one, especially if you're in a negative environment. Yeah. Whereas, if I'm in the cold water, it's like I'm on a constant high, and people will be looking at me and saying, "Why are you so high? Why are you so happy?" And the answer was literally the cold. That's all it is. It's the cold.
Nice.
And I mean, one thing now I've learned as well, obviously being a firefighter, is that the effects of heat stress. So obviously going into the fires, and when we're wearing this breathing apparatus and all this kit, like after wearing that for like an hour, people can change completely. Like I could literally go into a wear now, come out, and be unrecognizable in my personality. I could be stressed, I could be angry at you, as if we're maybe going to have a fight, even though, like, let's say we're friends nowadays, and it's all just because of the effects of heat stress. Now, on the opposite end of the scale, we've got the cold here, and it's the polar opposite of heat stress. It's cold, and I guess chilling out, innit? It's stress-free, you know what I mean?
So that explains a little bit around when you see people in the sun and they get heat stroke, and they're delirious, or they get angry, agitated, or where you see so much road rage in the summer.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, one thing for me, I always think the term "chill out." Where did that come from? When someone says to you, "Chill out," and that's what jumping into the cold is, isn't it? Stepping into the cold, it's chilling out.
100%. So, is it in your head that you have a certain level of cold that represents going into the cold for you, or is it that you're not doing like cold showers or anything like that at the moment? You said that you haven't done it for 2 weeks, but I'm quite interested to sort of know if you're doing cold showers, but really it's not hitting the button.
Yeah, it's a good question. That I mean, for me, because I set up a group during the pandemic where there was about maximum, I think we had about 16 of us turn up at once, all together. That buzz of 16 of you, stepping into the cold, going out of your comfort zone together, nothing beats that buzz. Yeah. I think, to be fair, when you're going by yourself and it's more challenging, like early in the morning at sunrise, something like that's a good one. But in the shower, the shower's good, but it's not the same as that. And yourself now, I think on that level, like if we were to jump in now in the summer, it's not as cold like in open water as what it is in the winter. So I think that now's a great time for anyone looking at getting involved and starting. Now's the perfect time to prepare now for the winter. But for me, you can't be, the second it's snowing, heavy snow, and it's freezing and the water's getting icy, that's when you want to be in there struggling, you know what I mean? And that's when it's just amazing. I'll get some barefoot running in, get in the water, get some videos and that, and it's just awesome.
So it sounds like that you love that initial shock response. You're all about that, and that rush of energy that just bang smacks you right in the whole body, and you just radiate it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. It's great to hear you say that, because I think that one thing for me is like now I might just be taking life for granted and thinking, I've had enough, today's boring sort of thing, and then I might think of stress, and then if that water hits you, that shock, it's like boom, like, you know, it's like wake up and it's like, oh, it's, I can't even put it into words. You know the feeling. It's just, it's amazing.
Any bullshit that we have in our head is instantly gone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's exactly that. And it's like you say, you're in the moment, you're there, and everything's real, everything's live. And I've got goosebumps now. You appreciate life. Like, life's just amazing. But sometimes you've got to step into the cold to do it. And I think that's the thing is it's about comfort zones. Like I said before, as I do barefoot running and stuff like that, like wild camping, because we're too domesticated as humans. You know, we're always heat stressed. We're always wearing warm coats. When it's raining, we're staying indoors. And we need to be outside in the cold, in the rain, experiencing the benefits. And that's the problem. We're blocking it, and that's why we're all so stressed.
So you've spoke quite a bit around your barefoot running, and there seems to be a correlation with people that get into cold therapy, and we become closer to sort of oneness with nature, spirituality. Was that something that you had before you started, or may have played around with? But how has that changed since sort of going into the water, and that appreciation for life, just the general things around you, the food on the table, the ability to walk, and just taking the enjoyment of life?
Yeah, that's a great question. That I think that, because before, like, I just started on my journey, like, spiritually, like prior to the water, and then the water was a game changer. But it's sort of, it's part of leveling up. I think that you need to be on that journey, you know what I mean? So, like, if I tried to get in the water, let's say 4 years ago, prior to any of this journey, I might get in and never get in again and be like, oh, who wants to do that? It's pointless.
Yeah.
But because I was on the path, all that did was, you know, it aided my path. It made my path clearer, smoother, you know. And like I said, day to day, it just helps you so much.
Yeah, 100%. So what changed for you? So you when you first started, you had this, you know, I'm going to try it. Sean, Itty, you see a couple of your mates are doing, you're like, right, I'll give it a go. And you went in for one reason. What's changed? Or personally, I went in for health reasons, but really what's ended up happening is it's blown that out the water, the life lessons, everything like that I've learned. And I'm just interested to know sort of from what your reasons were first stepping into, sort of really where you are now with it all, and that transformation.
Yeah, I think that it all stems down to the mental health benefits. Like, I think that everything that I've been doing is just to enhance my mental well-being, and I think that the benefits I received were better than anything else. There's nothing else I could do that make me feel so mentally well as cold water.
Yeah.
And I think that's the fundamental. And then it's just something where if I was having a bad day, I know that that's what I need to do. Like I'd bump into someone and they'd say, you know, oh, are you all right? You don't seem yourself. And in my head, I know it's because I've not been in the cold water. Whereas when I'm in the cold water and I see them people, they'll be like, oh, you know, you're so positive, you're so high on life, you just love life. And that's how I want to feel. I want to love life. And I think that being in the cold water, as I mentioned previously, it helps me to achieve that. Just appreciate the little things. Like I mentioned before, it just correlates with just being like spiritually minded and just, you know, grounding yourself with the earth and stuff. Like, it's just, I can't put it in words. You know the feeling. It's a feeling that I can't explain.
Yeah, definitely. So what's Neil's plans for the future? Where's he looking to go? You said you just joined the fire service.
Yeah,
you know, what's your big plans, and what's your plans with cold therapy?
That's a good question, because before, you know, like, you can actually get the cold water tubs and stuff on like your backyard.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned to me before about maybe looking at like manufacturing some of them. So it was something I looked into, because what I've got to grasp now is obviously I'm supposed to discourage people from getting in open water as part of my job, because obviously water safety, which is difficult because obviously I understand the benefits. So maybe the flip side for me is to maybe look at you know, pushing these like cold water tanks or something, and maybe getting people together in that way instead, in a controlled environment with loads of ice, you know, that sort of thing. Because as I said, I ran the group before with about 15 of us. I'd love, my dream to be get like, I don't know, are you aware of the happy chili dippers in the world? Been on the news and stuff or not?
No.
Right, so there's a big group of people, and they go in the sea in the world all together on like the set days each week, and there might be like 50 of them at once. I'd love to organise something like that where there's as many people as possible jumping in there together, you know, all of us having a laugh together. But it's just, for me, I've got to just change the way I do it, you know what I mean? I've got to be looking at safety and responsibility for my role, you know what I mean?
But but the thing is, you could go about it a different way, and like the way that we would go about doing it is, you know, make sure you've got someone that's first aid trained. It only needs to be your basic ABCs. As a fireman, you will have that.
Yeah.
You know, a bit like a personal training insurance. You basically you could do a course to just like teach people basic breath work, and basically take people through a program, get people to sign obviously a waiver. But if you put the right structure together and maybe get that signed off by your higher ups, then there's no reason why you can't do it. I know that there's obviously a responsibility, but at the same time, is, you know, the benefits, and if it's in a controlled environment with somebody that has the experience, like I said, I think the biggest thing is that you've got somebody there that is first aid trained, knows what they're doing, and you take people through the step-by-step process.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that's something that I need, that clarification on what's the right process. And I think once I've hit the nail on the head, I think it's something definitely that I would like to commit to in my days off. Definitely.
You know, there's recently the person that died up. I think it was the Wirral, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there was 2 people possibly. I think
a couple of months ago. So, and I think he was. I think he was a Wim Hof instructor, and so it's not about that. It's about the person, and obviously understanding what their medical conditions are. You know, so there is personal responsibility there, but I think what's needed, there needs to be some form of, because the industry, the sector is growing, and more people are asking questions, and maybe the way that we sort of went about it was, you know, diving in head first. And obviously if somebody goes and tries that, for instance, when it's snowing and you're more or less at close to 0 degrees, you need to be going with a buddy, or if not a group. And even if you're going in the sea and there's a high swell, because if you've got that cold shock response, you can't breathe. So I think there's an area now that maybe needs some sort of organizing bodies that sort of say, this person is at a certain level, has experience, you know, is first aid trained, and just sort of give, so if people are looking to do it, that they can find people that, you know, that they can feel safe and secure with, and that obviously that the right people are there. It's not just somebody that potentially can take them through a cold therapy and breathwork session. I think the first aid part, especially if you're needing emergency response because somebody could have a heart condition, something else, you know, breathwork can activate medical conditions like the cold shock response. You know, there is a calling, and maybe that's part of your niche. Maybe that's what you can do, is speak to your higher ups, see what advice they would give you that would give you the support, but also getting your co-workers, getting them in there, you know, finding a way that sort of you've had to tackle a bad fire, you've had a tough day or whatever, you know, what can I do? I'm talking as you, what can you do that helps these guys maintain their mental health and well-being? And washing it away with water is the best way.
Yeah, it really is the way, you know what I mean? Because it's about, like you say, it's about chilling out, that mental clarity, and it changes everything, doesn't it? You know the crack. And I think that's a great great thing what you said there, because it's something I've not really thought into. But yeah, maybe like you say, that could be my calling to obviously do it. Because why should I reap the benefits if I'm not encouraging them to do the same? Innit?
Yeah. So I just want to dig around that sort of that first time. Sort of you spoke about that you sort of opened yourself up to this spiritual path. Didn't know what it was, but it made you more aware. You spoke a little bit about Wim Hof and how that sort of pulled you in, Sean, and that. But that I'm just trying to dig. So really, what we're trying to do is communicate to people that are watching this of maybe that sort of where you was mentally, or where you was that really one made you make the decision to go and do it. But really, it's like trying to understand, like, was it mental health problem that you was dealing with, or you was just finding it tough? I'm just trying to resonate so people can say and go, this guy's like me.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think for myself, and I can speak to many people that I know that I've maybe took the first time or they've been with me, and I think everyone that I know has got the same experience where they were struggling mentally. They've tried multiple things across their life. This is not myself. This is just speaking collectively. From medications to improve your mental health to maybe having issues with alcohol and drugs, and just trying to find escapes and different ways to make yourself feel better, whether that's going to the gym or running or whatever, and finding that all the things that they did, no matter what, they just weren't enough. Sorry, I just had a call coming. They just weren't enough. And it's sort of, it is a process of elimination. You're trying to fix yourself. Nothing's working. And then this comes about and you get one, crackpot of a friend, which now would be me, but to me at the time, it was like Sean and Itty saying, oh, just try this, it works. Like, we've tried everything, but nothing works like this. This is better than drugs. This is, and I'm like, yeah, all right, lads, calm down. And then when you try it for yourself, if anyone's listening to this, they know now how I'm acting and how I can see that you're buzzing, you know what I mean, and we're ready to get in. Yeah. And that's the thing, is you have to experience it. And once you experience it, and I think that for everyone I know, it's happened the first time they've got in. But the way to get that feeling is you've got to get in and stay in, not get out straight away. When you get in and your body says, get out, get out, get out, get out, you can't get out. You need to regulate your breathing, calm down to the point where your mind says, actually, everyone says this, they go, actually, the water feels warm now. They all say that. They say it feels warm now. When they get to that point, you're on, if we've got a graph, you're on the rise. And I think that it's finding the right time to get them out in time to have nothing but a positive experience. And that's infectious. I think that, and ultimately what I'm trying to say is that, they've got nothing to lose. If someone out there is struggling mentally and they've tried multiple things to feel better and find that they're not necessarily working, or maybe they're not consistently working, if they try the cold water, I think that if they do it in the right way, whatever it is that suits them, this is a consistent way to keep on top of their mental well-being. Possibly not by itself, but like you said before, is it directly coincides, and I said it previously, is it did nothing but aided my path spiritually, mentally, and physically. If you did it first thing in the morning, if it was a cold shower, for example, you're starting your day on a win. In the fire service, we talk about easy wins, and that's an easy win right there. We've got a hot shower or a cold shower at 6 in the morning. Which one do you take? Hot one, experience heat stress, or cold one, and experience the benefits of cold water. It's your choice. That's simple. You know what I mean? And that's the thought. I think they say that in the way you start the day is how it affects the rest of your day. So you started that positively, you can have a positive day mentally. You know what I mean? You don't start negatively, and I think cold water it gives you that.
You've said so much that resonates with me. Like personally, I was on medication for a back injury, like morphine, sleeping tablets, that almost killed me. But on the back of this sort of 12-year journey to sort of when I found cold therapy. You know, there was drug and alcohol abuse, dark depression, suicidal thoughts, like really to the point where, you know, I snapped out of it at the point where I was in the process. And that thing that sort of came over me and was like, you know, I'm never going to let anybody suffer the way that I did. Didn't know anything that where my life was going, because I ended up in Germany, ended up with this spinal stabilization hip operation. Didn't know where I was, didn't even know who I was. When looking in the mirror, I just felt like a shell of a man. And so I ended up going traveling, thinking that that was going to find what but I've come to understand that things happen in our lives in stages. You know, it's at the time I was always looking for that instant gratification. I'm going to do this. I want this to happen now. And really looking back, I'm able to appreciate that was my thing of opening the start of the spiritual path. Even though I was carrying out all these bad behaviors and negative things that were still not serving me. And it wasn't until I sort of found cold therapy, and I put cold therapy down as saving my life, because my parents, my close family, friends, my missus, we're all expecting a call saying Dean's been found dead, you know, OD'd, heart attack somewhere, just this destructive behavior because I just was not happy within myself. So when I first stepped in, was all about getting off the medication, trying to get whatever my version of pain-free is. That mean pain-free for me is no pain medication and a way of managing it and maintaining it. And that all happens through the cold. And it all went through stages. You know, my head was filled with so much bullshit. And then first I started finding clarity. You know, it creates that mental space that you talk about. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the next sort of stage is all of a sudden you're like, well, actually, because I went in there and I'm telling myself constantly about wanting to be pain-free, I noticed that the pain started to go away. And all over a period of time, I think it was about 9 months, got off all the medication. Then, you know, I had the epiphany for cryo shower because the water was getting warmer. And literally just looking back, ever since I stepped into the cold, my life is just completely transformed and changed. That's what's inspired me to talk to people like you, because we all come from different walks of life. You know, we have all different experiences, but fundamentally, internally, you know, mental health is mental health. The degree of experience is what we experience personally, and what cold therapy allows us and helps us to do is to cut away the bullshit. And with time and keep consistency of going back in, we're able to break these things down and understand them in a different way, to where we are now having this conversation. We just talk about cold therapy, we start buzzing, and we just go, we know that if we're having a really, really shit day, go get in the, you know, go just get in the cold shower. And that initial, it's not what we really want, but that initial, just that little shock just helps that little bit. And, you know, everything you've said about your story and the way that you're going from, you know, I resonate with that. And that's what I want people to pick up. I want people to watch this and go, that guy's like me. That's me. That's, you know, and that's what we're trying to transcribe. So people resonate to you and they're like, right, who is this guy? How can I find him? How can I speak to him? How can I ask him questions? You know, I take my hat off to you. And you know, what would you say to those people that come to you and say, look, I've tried it, or I'm thinking of trying it, what do I do? Tell me, I'm stuck, or you know, I didn't like that cold shock response. You know, they might not have that determination, willpower that you had. What do you say to them?
Well, I think, mate, like just in what you've just said there's so many golden nuggets there. Well, I could pick each one of them and be like, you know, what about Dean? What about what Dean said there? Because like you said about resonating, everything you said there, and it's not just you or me. I've heard it so many times before, so many people, and I think that if there's one person that resonates with one little bit of what's being said today, then the answer is to try it. So they know. I think that's inevitable. They've got to try it. Now, how they do that is the next question, isn't it? Like you say, if they're scared. And I think that a good thing I'd say is if they could find a buddy to do it with, maybe, where they could do it together. Because I think that peer pressure, that, you know, gives you that willpower. If you're doing it together, you're going through it together, and you know, you're sharing the experience, the pain, and the healing as well that comes with it, and the benefits. I think I definitely recommend trying it with somebody else for the first time. But if not, definitely just try the cold shower. I think that maybe put yourself in a situation, if you're going to try it, where in your head you think, right, I've got no hot water, there isn't any, but I need to have a shower to go to work, for example. So you've got to shower, you know, cover yourself in soap. You need to wash the soap off, but you've got no hot water, and you're going to have to crack the shower on cold and get in there. And I think that if you can just do that, you know, control your breath and just get washed as you would normally, if you're in there a few minutes, step out and see how you feel. Don't put the hot water back on. Step out and see how you feel after that cold water, because I guarantee, even if it's for a minute, you'll feel fresh, you'll feel alive, you won't be tired, you won't need, you know, a double espresso shot at 6 in the morning. Because you've just had 10 of those in the cold shower, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, with the way that inflation, energy prices and food prices are all going, you know, what are you going to make? Are you going to choose hot water over food, over eating? So exactly. Even just finishing your normal showers, just going just in case, finish off on cold.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. I was going to suggest maybe like the people who are on the top-up meters, don't top up the gas and just get a cold shower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Neil, it's been an absolute pleasure. The way that we like to finish the podcast, we like to hand over the floor. Anything that you want to talk about, let people know what your social handles are, where they can find you. We will put them in the description, but this work might go out to somewhere that is just an audio. So just let people know where they can find you if they want to reach out, ask you some questions.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So I'm known as In the Tank. So you can find me by searching hashtag In the Tank, or my Instagram profile is at In the Tank Woo, because that's what I say. It's in the tank, baby. Woo! Nice. So if you want to find me any questions, I'll answer them. But I think for yourself, Dean, it'd be great to maybe meet up, all of us, and get a cold swim in somewhere. And I won't mind one of those cryo shower t-shirts either.
100%. I've got one. Listen, there's a couple of lads now up north, so I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come up with a cryo shower unit, and we're gonna do like a cryo shower challenge, because we're dropping the water about 10 degrees at the moment. So on average, it's about a 10-degree drop. So we're averaging about a 4-minute shower around sort of 8 degrees. Here we're 18 degrees down in Bournemouth. Right. I think you're about 16 at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
16, 17. So you're out of that sort of cold therapy benefit zone, and from 15 degrees to 16 degrees, the curve where the benefits start dropping off is quite drastic. That's why that 15 degrees was sort of picked, because after that point they sort of drop off, and as we both are, we love that initial shock response.
Yeah.
Listen, Neil, absolute pleasure. Let's keep in touch. I'll get a cryo shower t-shirt off to you, and let's smash it, mate. Have a great day.
It's been a pleasure, mate. You too. Thank you very much. Take it.